Hi YouTube, Regina here from Simply Fundamental. So, on this channel, I've been talking about all things personal finance. That's a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and I feel like I could talk about it all day long. But sometimes when I do a topic, I do have to look into and research things, and that's a little bit harder for me to do because I don't want to just speak on facts. And because I don't create a script, there are some times that I stumble on my words. And while so far no one's called me out on it and made fun of me for doing so, I want to just make that clear. I have not been following any kind of algorithm. I don't put out videos that I think YouTube wants. I put videos out that I think I want. And one day, hopefully it finds its way to you. If you're watching this, it has. And I'm hoping that they can really help. And so there's a whole library of videos, all things personal finance. I don't think I've repeated a video to date yet. And so I feel really good about that. So now let's move on. Today's topic. I wanted to talk to you about the personal savings rate. In the US, they're saying in 2024, the personal savings rate is 4.8%, whereas South Korea has a personal savings rate of 35.2%. And when they gave me this figure, they're looking at discretionary income after bills are paid, not the overall savings rate, after your bills are paid and what you have left on discretionary income. And so in the US, people are saving 4.8%. In Switzerland, it's 14.9%, and in Sweden, it's 25.36. That seems high, but then when you really realize they're just speaking about the discretionary income that you have left over. So personally, that's kind of low. So if you know anything about what the financial gurus propose, it's that you keep all your mandatory expenses 50. You then have all your wants be 30, and then you have your savings rate be 20. And that savings rate includes things like paying off debt. So you're not potentially really saving, you're just probably using some of that money to get out of debt if you have debt. So it's called the 50-30-20 rule. The problem that comes with just sticking to the 50-30-20 rule is it's going to take you 37 years. 37 years if all that money went straight into savings to be able to retire. So there's a really well-known YouTuber, or maybe he's not a YouTuber, he's a personal blogger, and the blog is called Mr. Money Mustache. And this man retired when he was 30 years old, and he saved a large percentage of his income, and he had a really, really high personal savings rate. Now, really what the personal savings rate is, it should be calculated on your net take-home pay. So whatever you take home after you pay your taxes and all the insurances and other things that are coming and being deducted from your salary. So you should have, as well as you can, try to get a really high personal savings rate. And so he got his to be high. And so he put this article together, and so I don't have to. It's the shockingly simple math to early retirement. I think that's what the article is called. The shockingly simple math behind early retirement. And so this is a well-known piece, and within it, it has the different savings rate and how long it would take you to retire. And this would be based on, your money starting to earn money and you living on 4% of the proceeds. So you take your expenses per year, and then you would multiply it by 25. So there's a little chart in here, and I have it in front of me about the personal savings rate. So you can go on and find this online on Mr. Money Mustache's site, or you could just put that article name in, The Shockingly Simple Math Behind Early Retirement. Now there are things that I absolutely agree with the shockingly simple math behind early retirement. And one would be the savings rate percentage. If you are saving 20% of your money, it's going to take you 37 years for that money to be able to sustain your lifestyle. So What ends up happening is if you just stay within that 50-30-20 rule, you're really going to constantly be putting yourself in the position where you're just going to always have to work 37 years. That's hard. That's definitely a hard thing to consider doing. And so if you're doing that, you're probably experiencing lifestyle inflation, even if you stay within that savings rate. My opinion is savings rate should go up as you're working. So I personally had my needs, so my home, my bills, my car, like student loans, everything that fit within, that was when I first started, well above that 50% rate. So there was no way I could fit my apartment into 50% of my take-home pay. It just didn't work. The numbers didn't work. I only brought home $700 a month, and my rent was $650. So that's not 50%. So over time, I ended up getting another job and being able to pay down my debts. And then I eventually moved in with my husband, and the two of us, it brought my expenses down considerably. And when it did this, over the years, I've increased my savings rate. So every time I get a raise, I don't take that raise and say, okay, 20% or 50% of it can go into needs, 30% into wants, and 20% into savings. No, over time, I've increased my savings rate, and you should too. As a matter of fact, I'm now at a savings rate that's probably over 100%. And how could that be? How could I have a savings rate that is over 100%? Because the proceeds that we make from our investments exceed the amount we make from our salaries. So now my husband is getting a pension, and I am getting paid as well. And then I completely put aside his pension money, and that goes into savings automatically. So you would think that would be kind of like 50%, assuming we made the same. We don't, because it's a pension. It's a fraction. It's a percentage of your pay. So it wouldn't be that much. And then in addition, I save 35% of my money automatically into retirement. But I hit the retirement max for the year early on. So my numbers are going to look vastly different from yours. But what ends up happening is my husband and I also earn income on the money that we've already had invested. So over time, it's grown to be substantial. And now it's at a point where it has passed our salaries, including his pension. So we have our money, making money for us completely passively, because I'm not talking about money that we make from our rental. The money we make from the rental kind of pays for the rental, and maybe a little bit extra, but the money we have invested in our retirement, in bond funds, I have some money in bond funds, and then in index funds, produce income for us. And the income we get is more than our salaries. So yes, that's the definition of being able to retire, right? So if you have your investments, the only difference is it is before it is taxed, because it's in retirement. Much of that money would be in retirement accounts. So in our retirement accounts, let's just say we're earning $9,000 a month. That $9,000 has not been taxed. And so it's a tax deferred. Most of that money is tax deferred. I feel like I'm going off in a tangent. But anyway, if I brought home $6,000 a month and my husband brought home $11,000 a month, and then our investments are making us $900 a month, plus we're saving all of his salary, and our bills are $6,000 a month. Actually, I think our bills are a bit more when I account for paying extra on the mortgage and stuff. But if our bills are, let's just say, $7,000 a month, our savings rate ends up being so much exponentially higher. Now, from our salaries, yeah, our savings rate is probably 60, 70%, maybe more. I could calculate it. Um, but you want, when you are getting raises, that you don't apply this 50, 30, 20 rule. What you do is you get your raises, and a bigger portion of that would go into saving and investing for you. Because that money, if you're spending it, it's gone. It's not going to be working for you. But you should be doing lifestyle improvements, not lifestyle inflation, lifestyle improvements for yourself. There is no way that I spend or we spend the same amount of money that we did 20 years ago than we do today. There are things that we did without or we really cut back on when we were first starting out. And as time has grown, we've been able to take some of the money that we've made and use it not for lifestyle inflation, but for lifestyle improvements. And these could be things like improving, for us, it was getting another property that we could go and visit. It was improving our experiences as far as being able to travel and go other places. It is for wellness and being able to afford gyms that we want to go to. And then there's also for experiences. If you want to go to a concert, there's things you want to do. You want to get more legroom when you're flying. You want to take more trips for the year. These are lifestyle improvements, not lifestyle inflation. So a percentage of the money that we've earned, and while our money's gone up, we've improved our life to make it more comfortable, more enjoyable, but it's not lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation would mean that over time, the more money you're making, the less you're really saving, and even while you're getting raises, you're staying within that range and potentially even saving a less percentage of the money that you have coming in. But lifestyle improvement works the opposite way. The more you make, you're still spending a little bit more. You're increasing your expenses, but your savings rate is continually going up until you get a point where your lifestyle improvement reaches a point where you feel you have enough, that you feel that, wow, I'm living the life that I want to live. I'm enjoying my life on things I want to do. That's when you know of when you want to really do your calculations to figure out how much money you need to live on. It is not when you are earning less. So for instance, Mr. Money Mustache made his numbers based on a man who was 28, 29 years old, not on someone who was much older. And so the problem that I have with financial independence retire early is people are taking a calculation and then they're assuming that they're going to keep their expenses and their lifestyle at what it is now. And they're pigeonholing themselves into a box that they kind of have to stay in. What you need to do instead is to ensure that even as you get to a point where you have enough money to cover all your expenses, that you still want your wealth to be growing. It cannot just stop, okay, now I need $100,000, so I need $100,000 a year. That means I need 2.5 million. You take that 100,000 and you multiply it by 25, right? No, you need to still be saving money in retirement because there are going to be things that you might want to do. There could be other costs that you're not considering at all. And some people, they do this they use Social Security to be that extra buffer. They don't consider Social Security at all. They don't consider any money that they're going to make on some of the investments. They just don't count, they don't count their property in their numbers. So they're only counting that their investments in their number and not their property, so that they have a buffer should they need something else. Like for instance, if all our properties cost us $1 million, we remove the $1 million from the equation and we only focus on the millions we have within our retirement, and we're going to live on that money plus the pension. And plus any rental income to pay down those rental debts. So that's kind of what you need to do. You need to increase your savings rate as you're getting raises and not keep it the 50, 30, 20. Your savings rate should be increasing over time, and your lifestyle comforts should be increasing as well until you get to enough, to what you consider is enough for yourself. And then when you're comfortable where you're at, that doesn't mean things are not going to change in the future. When I retire, I've never played golf in my life. What if all of a sudden I decide to pick up golf? Sorry, I didn't fit that in my budget. I didn't work it out. No, I know that when I retire, I'm still maybe living on what I have as my expenses today, but there's still excess coming from my investments that more than covers my bills, so that I'm also saving in retirement. They have this book, which I believe the book is for people who haven't saved enough, not for people who have, about retire with zero, or I think that's what it's called. That, for me, would be absolutely frightening. My money can go on to charities, to family when I pass. There's no way I want to die with zero. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know the expenses I don't have. So dying with zero and using my money until I got down to zero would just be a horrifying reality for me. I can't do that. For me, I need to make sure that there's a small percentage built in that I'm automatically saving, because when Mr. Money Mustache retired at 30 years old, I guarantee you he's not living on the equivalent of $35,000 a year. His expenses have changed. His bills have changed. Anyone who's written any one of those kind of books, they can tell you that your lifestyle starts to improve. So instead of lifestyle inflation, you have lifestyle improvement. And so that's what happens. So try to aim to increase your savings rate year in, year out. When you get a raise, at least say 50% of that raise, so that you're increasing your savings rate each year. And that's why I wanted to put this video out, because a lot of people get year-end raises. And so if you're getting a year-end raise and it's going to go into effect next year, don't just apply that 50, 30, 20 rule. No, that extra raise, that's your money to save, and you'll want to save it. Anyway, this is Regina from Simply Fundamental. I hope this was really helpful and that you hit like and subscribe so that this video finds its way out to more people that it can help. Please increase your savings rate. Please take your raise and use it to fund other things in your life besides your lifestyle. You want to make lifestyle improvements, but you don't want to inflate your life. So, thanks for tuning, and I will catch you on the next one.